we can't help it. As soon as the warmer weather arrives, we all want to start gardening. We do it throughout the whole season. We love it, but sometimes we can hurt ourselves. So we have with us someone who can talk to us about safer gardening. Dr. Melissa Baird, chiropractor with Ontario Chiropractic Association. Welcome to Daytime.
Thank you.
You know what? It's something that I do often. You know, I find myself gardening and then either the same day or the next day, everything feels a little bit sore, you know, but
Yep.
you don't often think about it because you're so excited because you're finally doing it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We do need to take precautions, don't we?
You really do, and it's something that a lot of times with change of seasons or, you know, with warmer weather, we'll find more people coming into our office for different type of injuries that they'd have other times of the year. With gardening specifically, you really want to take care of your back. It's really easy to hurt yourself.
Really, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're going to close your eyes and think of the worst thing that people do, is there a number one worst thing?
Poor lifting, just
Poor lifting.
improperly lifting. We always hear lift with your legs, but no one does it.
Right. People, everybody's just sort of bends over, they kind of crouch.
Exactly, and then you're loading all the weight onto your lower back if you're just doing a straight lift from the ground, whereas you really should be focusing on squatting to what you're trying to pick up, and then using the weight or the muscles in your legs, to lift that weight, keeping it really tight to your core while you're doing it. The other thing that I find with lifting that a lot of people do is they have this big heavy object and they have to put it over here, so they twist. Our lower backs do not like twisting movements, especially when they're tired and they're carrying something heavy. So if you're lifting and then you need to move it, you need to shuffle yourself over and put it down where it needs to go.
So deep breath and think. We tend to go quick, don't we? So we just lift and because we're already thinking of that thing that we want to get to.
Exactly.
Right? So we should just sort of take a minute and think about how you're moving, especially if you're lifting something heavy.
Yeah, and especially if you're looking at filling up like the big brown bags with leaves or debris or grass. By the time you fill that bag up, you've been working all day and picking that stuff up. Your muscles are already tired. People don't ask for help. That's the other problem. If you're lifting something heavy like that, especially if it's wet grass or wet leaves, then get help because they are quite heavy to lift.
Very, very smart. Okay, so we want to watch for our back. I know that you brought some things with you.
Yeah.
Some important tools.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them.
I was kind enough to get a borrow of some objects from Home Hardware down in the Glebe. So they've got a couple of things I'm just going to talk about.
Of course.
Knee pads and kneeling kind of devices.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah. So, if you have trouble with your knees or even if you're just kneeling for a long period of time, your knees can come quite sore just with that pressure on them.
Wow.
So using something like this is really helpful. Some people prefer a knee pad that they actually wrap around their legs.
Okay, so this you actually wrap around your knee.
Yeah, and it can just lodge on your knee and then you can move around with it instead of having to move the foam board around all the time.
Smart, I see how that works.
Yeah,
okay.
And even if you are kneeling and you've got these devices protecting you, you want to make sure that you're actually in a good posture or position as well. So again, if you're kneeling and working on something, you want to be front on to whatever it is you're working on. You don't want to be doing this pulling and yanking.
So again, twisting.
Twisting, yeah. And then changing your position frequently. So if you're weeding for a while and you're kneeling, then move on to something else where you're standing. So that could be potting plants, having it up on a table instead of bending down and working on it.
Okay.
So that you're changing your position regularly. Again, it comes down to muscle and joint fatigue. If you're in one position for an hour, those muscles are going to get tired quickly, whereas you vary the workload that they're doing, you'll be able to garden for longer without getting sore.
Okay, and so we get impatient. We start something, we want to finish that one thing. We don't necessarily want to move around. So more patience is needed.
That is exactly
I know that sometimes when if I'm doing something for a long, long time and then I sort of stand up tall, it's kind of like that moment where you just kind of feel it in your back, right? Yeah. So just kind of move. Be good
around
to yourself.
Exactly. Change that position, and that's exactly it. Be patient. You may not get all of the weeding done today. You might have to split it up over a couple of days, but you'll get a little bit of each task done.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've got some gloves as well. So another thing that a lot of people do is they're very gung-ho and they want to get a lot of stuff done and they forget to protect their hands. So wearing gloves, nobody wants to deal with blisters or scrapes.
I just don't want bugs touching my hands. That's why I wear gloves. Well, let's be honest here. The only reason I wear gloves, I don't want to put my hand in some, bug-filled dirt.
Exactly, and then you don't have to worry about getting that much dirt off your hands either, right?
Smart.
So gloves are really great. There's some that you get that have quite a bit of grip on them as well, so that can be helpful if you're working with something that's a little bit harder. Using the right tool for the job is really important as well. So I've got a couple of things here, just a little shovel, little spade, and like a weeder.
Okay.
So if you're just pulling up like a dandelion, this will get really nice into the root. It's not a whole lot of work to get it out. If you're using a shovel, you're just using more energy for that.
Got it.
If you know you're going to be shoveling quite a bit and you need to make quite a bit of holes or pull a lot of things out, get a small shovel that actually has a long handle, and then you can use your body weight.
Foot, right? Yes,
and you can stand.
Smart.
Right?
These are really important right there. I know where we're going with these two.
Yeah. So keep hydrated.
Yes.
It is exercise. You're out in the hot part of the day more than likely. Ideally, you're gardening more in the mornings and the evenings, but we will see a lot of people work right through the day on a weekend. So keep hydrated. Lots and lots of water. It's really, really important. Wear a hat, wear sunglasses, protect yourself from the sun with some sunscreen as well. And then look at good footwear. If I look at my dad's shoes, what he wears to go gardening, it's not okay.
Is it like a flip-flop kind of thing?
It's like a flip-flop, or it's a sneaker that's got holes in it everywhere. You need something that's good and supportive. It's got a nice sole on the bottom of it. It gives you cushioning while you're walking. It's supportive on the arch of your feet. It also gives you some grip as well, because you may be working where you've used the hose, where the grass has now become a little bit more slippery, or the rocks. And you should have a good supportive sneaker on that's protecting your toes if you're using sharp objects as well.
Really good. So be good to your back. And then if something goes wrong, we've got about 30 seconds left. If something goes wrong, don't feel afraid to call on a chiropractor. Make sure that everything is good.
Absolutely. Anytime you're doing a different activity, you might get a little bit of stiffness and soreness, but it should self-resolve pretty quickly. If you're sore the next day and it's not improving, ask for help. Call a chiropractor.
And see if we can get some help there. All right. Thank you so much for these tips. I'm going to get myself one of these. I really like this idea, the knee pad thing. Plus, it looks like I can wash it off.
Exactly.
All right. It's time for a break. We'll be right back with more Daytime. Stay